Railroads have powered economies for nearly 2 centuries, transporting everything from food and automobiles to military equipment and millions of passengers every year. Yet behind every massive freight train stretching more than 2 miles across the landscape stands one highly trained professional responsible for controlling thousands of tons of moving steel with extraordinary precision: the locomotive engineer. It's a career that combines advanced technology, mechanical knowledge, quick decision-making, and an incredible sense of responsibility. While many people imagine the job as simply driving a train, the reality is far more complex. Modern locomotive engineers manage sophisticated computerized systems, communicate constantly with dispatchers, monitor track conditions, calculate braking distances measured in miles rather than feet, and operate equipment powerful enough to pull entire cities' worth of cargo across mountains, deserts, and harsh weather. The career also offers excellent earning potential, strong union benefits, outstanding retirement plans, and opportunities to work for some of the largest transportation companies in North America. But reaching the engineer's seat doesn't happen overnight. Every locomotive engineer begins much lower on the railroad ladder, learning every aspect of railway operations before ever touching the controls of a locomotive. Today, we're following every level of a locomotive engineer career, from the very first day as a railroad employee to becoming one of the most respected professionals responsible for keeping the nation's freight and passenger rail systems moving safely every single day. Most future locomotive engineers never begin their careers inside the cab of a train. Instead, they start as entry-level railroad employees working as conductors, brakemen, switch operators, yard workers, or train crew assistants. At this stage, salaries generally range between $50,000 and $70,000 per year, depending on the railroad company, overtime opportunities, and location. Although the work can appear basic from the outside, this phase builds the foundation for everything that follows. New employees learn railroad terminology, operating rules, signaling systems, radio communication protocols, coupling procedures, air brake systems, hazardous material regulations, and countless safety standards enforced by the Federal Railroad Administration. Every day introduces new situations that require teamwork, awareness, and discipline. One small mistake on the railroad can have enormous consequences, so safety becomes second nature from the very beginning. Working outdoors in freezing winters, scorching summers, rain, snow, and during overnight shifts quickly teaches new employees that the railroad never truly sleeps. Freight trains move 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and rail crews must be prepared to respond whenever they are called. Irregular schedules become part of everyday life, requiring flexibility that few other careers demand. During this period, employees spend countless hours inside rail yards, learning how trains are assembled, how freight cars are inspected, how locomotives are prepared for service, and how different cargo types affect train handling. They begin understanding why train length, total weight, terrain, and weather conditions dramatically influence braking distances and operating procedures. This operational knowledge becomes invaluable later when they eventually transition into locomotive operations. As employees gain experience, reliability, and seniority, they often become fully qualified conductors. This is one of the most important milestones on the journey toward becoming a locomotive engineer. Conductors are responsible for coordinating train movements, communicating with dispatchers, supervising switching operations, ensuring compliance with operating rules, inspecting equipment, and managing the overall safety of the train crew. Salaries at this level typically range between $70,000 and $100,000 annually, with many experienced conductors earning considerably more through overtime and specialized assignments. The conductor works side by side with the locomotive engineer every day, creating the perfect learning environment for future advancement. Sitting inside the locomotive cab during long journeys allows conductors to observe how experienced engineers manage throttle settings, dynamic braking, air brake applications, fuel efficiency, track grades, speed restrictions, weather conditions, signal indications, and emergency situations. Every trip becomes a classroom on rails. Over time, conductors naturally begin developing the judgment required to safely operate locomotives themselves. They learn how a train weighing over 15,000 tons behaves differently from a passenger train, how momentum changes on steep mountain grades, how curves influence speed limits, and why anticipating conditions miles ahead is essential for safe operations. Railroad companies carefully evaluate employees during this period, looking not only at technical knowledge but also at professionalism, decision-making, communication skills, attendance, leadership, and an unwavering commitment to safety. Only those who consistently demonstrate exceptional performance are selected to enter the highly competitive Locomotive Engineer training program, where the true transformation from railroad employee to train operator finally begins. After proving themselves as experienced conductors, only a small percentage of railroad employees are invited to enter locomotive engineer training. This is where the career changes dramatically. Becoming an engineer requires months of intensive classroom instruction, simulator exercises, field observation, and supervised locomotive operation under the guidance of certified instructors. Trainees study locomotive mechanics, diesel-electric propulsion systems, braking theory, air brake diagnostics, dynamic braking, train handling techniques, signal systems, positive train control technology, emergency procedures, fuel management, and federal operating regulations. Every decision made inside the locomotive affects thousands of tons of moving equipment, making technical accuracy absolutely critical. Engineers must memorize hundreds of operating rules while developing the ability to react instantly to changing situations. Unlike driving a car, trains cannot quickly stop or change direction. A fully loaded freight train may require well over a mile to come to a complete stop, meaning engineers must constantly think far ahead of what they can actually see. During practical training, they gradually begin operating locomotives under close supervision, learning how slight throttle adjustments influence traction, how different weather conditions affect wheel adhesion, and how terrain dramatically changes braking strategies. Mountain grades, heavy snowfall, dense fog, strong crosswinds, and extreme temperatures all demand different operating techniques. Every trip introduces new challenges that sharpen both confidence and judgment. At this stage, compensation generally ranges between $80,000 and $110,000 per year, depending on training status, union agreements, overtime opportunities, and the railroad company. Although trainees are finally operating locomotives, every movement is carefully evaluated. Instructors monitor fuel efficiency, speed control, braking smoothness, communication with dispatchers, rule compliance, and overall situational awareness before allowing independent operation. Once fully certified, employees officially become locomotive engineers and begin operating trains without direct supervision. This marks one of the biggest career milestones in the railroad industry. Salaries now commonly reach $100,000 to $140,000 annually, with many engineers earning significantly more through overtime, night differentials, long-distance assignments, and performance incentives. The daily responsibilities expand far beyond controlling speed. Every trip begins with detailed locomotive inspections, checking fuel levels, brake systems, onboard computers, communication equipment, safety devices, and mechanical components before departure. Engineers work closely with dispatchers who coordinate thousands of train movements across complex rail networks. Throughout every journey, they constantly monitor track signals, speed restrictions, temporary work zones, weather alerts, crossing conditions, and train performance data. Modern locomotives resemble sophisticated mobile control centers filled with digital displays providing real-time diagnostic information. Engineers continuously evaluate traction power, wheel slip, brake pipe pressure, engine temperatures, electrical systems, and fuel consumption while maintaining strict compliance with operating schedules. Freight operations often require moving trains exceeding 2 miles in length and weighing more than 18,000 tons. Every acceleration, every brake application, and every throttle adjustment must be smooth and carefully planned to avoid damaging cargo, overstressing couplers, or creating dangerous forces throughout the train. Engineers also prepare for unexpected situations, including vehicles stopped at crossings, fallen trees, equipment failures, wildlife on the tracks, severe storms, and emergency braking events. Remaining calm under pressure becomes one of the profession's most valuable skills. There are no second chances when operating equipment of this size, making concentration one of the engineer's greatest professional assets. With experience, many locomotive engineers transition into specialized assignments that demand even greater expertise. Some operate high-speed passenger trains carrying thousands of commuters each day, where smooth acceleration, precise station stops, and strict schedule adherence become top priorities. Others specialize in hauling hazardous materials, oversized industrial equipment, military cargo, or exceptionally heavy bulk freight across mountain territories requiring advanced train handling techniques. Specialized engineers frequently receive additional certifications covering advanced braking systems, distributed power technology, remote locomotive control, mountainous terrain operations, winter railroad procedures, and emergency response protocols. Compensation at this stage often climbs to $140,000 to $170,000 per year, especially for engineers working long-distance freight routes, demanding geographic territories, or premium assignments requiring extensive experience. Senior engineers become trusted mentors inside the railroad, helping train future conductors and locomotive engineers while sharing practical knowledge developed over decades on the rails. They understand that every successful trip depends not only on technical ability but also on discipline, communication, patience, and respect for railroad procedures. Their experience allows them to anticipate problems long before they become emergencies, making them some of the most valuable professionals in modern transportation. Yet even after reaching this advanced level, there remains one final stage of the career where years of operational expertise evolve into leadership, strategic responsibility, and the opportunity to influence the future of rail transportation itself. After years of safely operating freight and passenger trains across thousands of miles of railroad, the most experienced locomotive engineers reach the highest levels of the profession. These veterans are no longer recognized simply for their ability to operate a locomotive, but for their leadership, judgment, and deep understanding of the entire railroad system. Many become certified road foremen of engines, locomotive instructor engineers, operating supervisors, safety specialists, or transportation managers responsible for overseeing entire districts and mentoring the next generation of railroad professionals. Others remain in the engineer's seat by choice, operating the railroad's most demanding assignments while earning premium compensation through seniority and specialized qualifications. At this level, annual earnings commonly range between $170,000 and $220,000 plus, with total compensation often increasing even further through overtime, profit-sharing programs, exceptional union benefits, retirement plans, and healthcare packages. Years of experience allow these professionals to handle situations that younger engineers may encounter only once in a career. They understand how changing weather affects braking performance, how subtle locomotive vibrations can indicate mechanical issues before onboard computers detect them, and how to make calm, informed decisions during emergencies involving thousands of tons of moving equipment. Their knowledge becomes one of the railroad's most valuable assets. Railroad companies depend on these senior engineers to help evaluate new technology, improve operating procedures, reduce fuel consumption, increase efficiency, and maintain the highest possible safety standards across increasingly complex transportation networks. Technology is also transforming the future of locomotive engineering. Modern locomotives now incorporate sophisticated onboard computers, advanced diagnostic systems, positive train control, predictive maintenance software, GPS tracking, digital communication networks, and artificial intelligence capable of monitoring equipment health in real time. Some people assume automation will eventually eliminate locomotive engineers, but the reality is far more nuanced. While technology continues to automate repetitive tasks and improve safety, railroads still require highly trained professionals capable of making complex operational decisions that computers cannot reliably handle in unpredictable real-world situations. Unexpected obstacles on the tracks, severe weather events, equipment failures, emergency evacuations, coordination with maintenance crews, and constantly changing operating conditions all require human judgment, communication, and experience. Instead of replacing engineers, technology is becoming another powerful tool that helps them operate trains more safely and efficiently than ever before. Engineers entering the industry today will likely spend their careers working alongside increasingly intelligent systems, making technical knowledge even more valuable than in previous generations. Those who continue learning new technologies, adapting to modern equipment, and embracing innovation will remain among the most sought-after professionals in the transportation industry. The railroad of the future will still need exceptional engineers, but those engineers will be more technologically skilled than ever before. Looking back at the complete journey, it's remarkable how far a locomotive engineer travels before ever reaching the top of the profession. The career begins with physically demanding work in rail yards, long shifts, harsh weather, and learning the smallest operational details that most passengers and freight customers never notice. Step by step, employees develop technical knowledge, discipline, leadership, and confidence while advancing from entry-level railroad positions to conductor, from conductor to locomotive engineer, and finally into the industry's highest levels of operational expertise. Along the way, salaries grow from roughly $50,000 at the entry level to well over $220,000 per year for the most experienced professionals managing complex assignments or leadership roles. Yet the greatest reward often isn't the paycheck. It's knowing that every day, millions of people receive food, fuel, vehicles, medical supplies, construction materials, and countless other essentials because dedicated railroad professionals keep the nation's transportation network moving safely around the clock. Every successful journey represents thousands of decisions made with precision, patience, and professionalism. Behind every powerful locomotive crossing mountains, deserts, forests, and cities is an engineer whose experience keeps one of the world's most important transportation systems running without interruption. Few careers combine such enormous responsibility, advanced technology, financial stability, and lasting impact on everyday life. If you're looking for a profession that rewards discipline, continuous learning, technical excellence, and the satisfaction of moving the economy forward 1 mile at a time, becoming a locomotive engineer may be one of the most rewarding career paths you'll ever discover.